For our last session of Introduction to the Creative Economy, this is Tom Tresser, your instructor for Project Polymath. Let's listen. From Wicked.
Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love I desire. Well, if that's love, because that much too high and low.
So, defying gravity, as the Wicked Witch lifts off into the sky, she leaves us a lesson of defying convention and saying no when everyone else is saying yes, or trying things that you're not supposed to try. And we're not going to wish the Wicked Witch's fate on you, but we like that spirit of defying gravity. What I'd like to take a few minutes here is sort of to wrap up our time together with what I call Tom's unified field theory of civic creativity. It's sort of what's informed my work over the years, and it's been behind a lot of what I've been trying to talk about in this session, in this class. And I hope you'll work with me here for a few minutes as I take you around this virtuous feedback loop. If you think of the analogy of the physical environment, the physical ecology, the sun is our energy source, and it basically powers all living life through the food chain. If you think of creativity as sort of an energy source, it powers this creative ecology that I'd like to explain to you. So in my point of view, we start with the need to create, the desire to create, which I think is universal and knows no boundaries of language or time or place. But the more we create and the more opportunities we have to create, I believe that leads to the conditions for a robust democracy. That is to say, some of the same things that cause us to wonder and ask questions are also underlying our impulses to do democratic behavior. So when we see something that we don't like and we wonder, why is it that way? Or wouldn't it be great if this? Or that's unjust. Why can't we make it another way? We're starting to imagine a better world and superimpose it on top of the world that we see. That's a creative act, but it's also the start of the democratic impulse, because then you start to ask questions, you start to gather research, you start to gather arguments, you start to gather friends and allies as you explain your vision of the world to other people. And the more conditions that permit that to happen, the more the creative impulse will continue and to propel more democracy. And the more democracy you have, it builds what I say is conditions for community. So you start to talk to people, you need to travel, you need to associate. And the more you do that, the more you're building a community of people who think like you do. You're attracting them, you're seeking them out there, seeking you out. De Tocqueville was a young Frenchman who traveled America in the 1830s, and one of the things he noticed was Americans' love of association. And he noted that there wasn't a topic or a cause pretty much under the sun that didn't have some sort of club or group already meeting, discussing it avidly, and starting to build solutions for it. And this is not necessarily a typically American thing, but it's part of a democratic society. And so where you have a democracy, you have the ability to associate, to travel, to publish, to think, to proclaim, to ask questions, and that leads to creating communities of interest, but also physical communities where people can move and aggregate themselves at their choosing. And when that happens, we move around this little circle to this point where I call equity. And equity for me has two meanings. It means fairness, justice, Everyone has an equal shot. There are no barriers of prejudice or arbitrary nature that prevents meritocracy or meritorious ideas or qualities from advancing. And it also means property, stuff, enjoying the fruits of your labors. The more you can create a sense of community, the more you have a sense of ownership. And this is a double meaning here, a sense of ownership as in I belong here, this is my place, this is my home, my physical home or my spiritual or mental home, but it's also meaning my actual home. This video is shot in a townhouse in Lincoln Park in Chicago that I and my wife own, and we love it very much. It's our home, but we've endowed it with our sort of spiritual being, and it's a physical place that we come. And so we've been able to make enough money over the years to buy this house and to fashion it in the shape of our wishes and dreams and our tastes, if you will. And the more people can do that, the more they're incented to turn that corner and start again down this little feedback loop that I'm calling the unified field theory of civic creativity, and you're encouraged to create again. Now think of this in terms of a workplace where you're encouraged to create, you're rewarded for speaking up, your community of employees or colleagues, be it a team, are successful, and you create some new product or new value inside your company, and you're rewarded, or you should be rewarded, with value and even stock necessarily. And the more a company can do that, the more you're willing to turn the corner and to create yet again. And if a company were to stifle that, you would be disincented from continuing on, and you would eventually leave that company. And the same thing for a country. If the country is putting barriers or blockades along any of these paths, it causes a backup. So, for example, in the realm of creativity, if there are laws on censorship or forbidding freedom of expression, that's certainly a block to creativity, and people have to find a way around it, and it makes it difficult to proceed. If there are laws preventing multiple parties or opposition, or you can't associate or gather in groups, then you can't turn that corner and to create a community. And then certainly if there are rampant corruption, or there's no property laws, or intellectual property is not guarded, that is to say, someone can steal your thoughts or your property without compensation or without recourse, such as through just outright theft, corruption, or piracy. So I write a book or write a song, and if you want to make money off that song, you have to pay me a royalty. But if you just steal it, then you're pirating my intellectual property rights, and it's a disincentive for me. Now, some people like to give away their labor or their intellectual property, and that's great. But for those people who choose to hold on to it and they wish to derive value from it, there should be systems in place to help them and protect them. But if those systems are perverted or subverted through corruption, then this whole thing tends to break down, and you're disincented to turn that corner one more time to renew your creative efforts on behalf of the company or the society. And so that's one of the reasons why, as I said in the earlier lectures, that's 45 million people have come to America and are living here right now because they believe that they can turn these corners virtuously and continuously to make meaning and to make economic value, and their creative labors will be rewarded and spur others on in like-minded way. So that's a bit of the sort of unified field theory of civic creativity. Try to explain it in about 10 minutes or less. But hopefully we'll have further conversations, and we can make the following proposition here, if you want to turn it into a formula, where an inquisitive society plus creativity plus conditions for an open and just society plus literacy yields a high degree of innovation, yields equitable prosperity. Put it another way, if you want to have a prosperous society where people can have a chance to advance, you need that society to be inquisitive, open, and creative. It's a pretty simple equation, and I think it's proving to be true more and more every day. As I say, let's see if we can keep in touch. You can email me at tom@tresser.com, Skype me, follow me on Twitter at TomST, and you can also join the Creativity Champions group on LinkedIn by following that link and joining. There's about 2,300 people on the group right now from all over the world who share one thing in common. They are champions of creativity in one form or another, and so can you. This has been Tom Tresser for Project Polymath, taking you on a journey through the introduction to the creative economy. See you online.